Yo, brother, it's time for us to start talking the real, man. We've been sugarcoating too much. We've got to start calling everything out for what it is.
Hey, Roger.
Hey, Marty.
So, this is wild. You know Roger, I'm sure, by this time, and he's got an Mten4, but this is, I feel confident saying this is probably the world's only 100 volt Mten4.
I'm sure it's not the only one.
You think so?
I think that the ones
Really?
coming from Begode, because this
Well,
is made for 100 volts.
I know, but
They're supposed to be 100 volts. They're just maybe getting rid of some stock of old batteries.
well, how about this?
The only one in California.
Yeah, but okay, how about this? How many watt hour battery do you have going right now?
1800 watt hours.
I bet it's only 1800 watt hour Mten4, 100 volt wheel in the world, maybe.
That's quite likely.
So tell us about how you did this.
Okay, so Freestyler, the guy that makes that that firmware with the variable speed tilt back for the Begode wheels. So I messaged him saying that I wanted to make a 100 volt Mten4. So we were chatting for a bit, and ultimately, looking at the Mten4, I see you need a new main board. So I skipped taking that route.
That's just because the intrinsic components on the board don't support 100 volts. Right.
So then I reached out to Austin, who is now, he was formerly of San Diego, now he lives in Mexico, and I asked him to help me with a custom VESC board for an Mten4 so that I could have a 100 volt Mten4. Right. And he said, okay. So I think I was supposed to have it like 2 weeks ago. Didn't seem like I was going to get it, but in the meantime, Melody gave me this little thing to secure the cable in here so that the power cable wouldn't come unplugged. And
right.
While I had the thing apart, I was like,
you saw, hey,
this is made for.
It's got the capacitors that can support.
Volts, so,
a little tiny bit of a gamma, because you never really know if you're plugging 100 volts.
So I reached out to Bill again and said, hey, I need a firmware for this thing that will not kick me off if I have the voltage above 84, because
right.
You know, you start with 84 volts, you go down a hill, it'll tilt back.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
that's pretty much the only thing that was defeated on the firmware. You could hear it beeping if you listen really closely. I turned the volume down on it, but
So why is it beeping again? It thinks it's at this point it's still overvolt.
Yeah. So
but it's interesting. The normal is the firmware mod such that it won't actually tilt back at you.
Yeah, now it won't tilt back.
But it still beeps. He hasn't figured out that part of the code.
I didn't dig in anymore.
Not high priority. Okay.
And it didn't just work. It feels like it's supposed to be this way. So I shut my mouth. I wrote it, and I'm going to keep writing it.
So you really, basically, there really is no hardware mod for this. It's just the different battery
Make
configuration.
a 100 volt battery and plug it in.
And now, could you have done this without the backpack and just smaller capacity? But
oh yeah.
But so I don't know if you can see in the video, he's got this going into the vento, I guess.
Yeah. So there's the old MD60 plug from the battery pack there, just hanging out, which means I'm carrying around another 750 watt hours for no good reason at all.
Oh,
but
it might handle differently if you
to use that battery, I would need to make another like 1/3 of a pack to go on there, and then I'd carry that around, and then I wouldn't need to carry the backpack.
Okay, so this wheel is actually fully running in the backpack.
Yes, the battery on board. If I unplug this cable,
it would
just
still
falls down.
And I'm sure that's lightweight.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
So I had a plan to do this with an Mten4 for one of Marty's long distance rides, and I had something like 3,000 watt hours in my backpack, and that was way heavier than this. This I could ride around with all day. So
that's wild. I I love all the wild stuff that people do with EUCs, and then I think Roger has some. This is, you might wonder why he's done this besides just to do it, but he's got some interesting other plans. So this is kind of a training session for him, I think. But we'll find out in the future.
Everything is practice for something.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hope you had fun seeing the world's only 1800 watt-hour 100 volt Mten4. Until next time, safe riding.